Healing crystals, skincare routines, knitting a sweater, fitting in jeans. With Katie and Sarah, no need to worry, you're on a lady journey.
Go lady journey.
Lady journey.
Hi. We have more stone dedications, guys. You guys are pouring into our Patreon and we love it.
And we are so grateful for you.
Super grateful. And we look at it on the at least once a week.
We look at it regularly.
I do plan on making the cinnamon roll apple recipe.
Oh, yes. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. That seems like a good slow cooker recipe.
Oh, I have got my slow cooker out last night and I was so excited about it.
I was watching a TikTok. I'm only talking while you look.
No, you please. You go ahead.
I was watching a TikTok and this guy was talking about like you walk into the kitchen when you see the slow cooker out and how depressed he gets.
Oh, that's so funny.
And people are like, that's
opposite.
because your mom has been using it wrong. They're like, she's been using it for evil.
You should be shamed.
Yeah. I think I've roasted a chicken in a slow cooker and I have to tell you, it was gnarly.
Yeah.
It's wet and too moist where the chicken meat was good, but the skin was just wet.
You have to do roasting for chicken, I feel like. You really have to get it in the stove and get it like crackling.
Yes, I like, what is it? I know with Allison Roman, she has it where you put it on the stove first to, what is it, rendering the fat?
Yeah, okay.
And then you put it in the oven, but that's how you get a crispy skin. It's from the oven. So that's why I was like, why would anybody cook a chicken in a fucking slow cooker?
Slow cookers are not good for
soup.
And it's also really bad for noodles. Like you cannot put a noodle in a slow cooker.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it gets weird. Like there's a lot of recipes in like the Instant Pot that will call for noodles to be added, and I've always heard that it's gross because it's like when you have noodles, like you want to have that like delicious al dente. Like you do not want to have like a noodle that's just like saturated with whatever it's being cooked in.
Yeah,
because it first of all, it's like it's bad for your blood sugar. You know, like sends the blood sugar through the roof. Okay. Wow. Hello and welcome to the stone dedication. This first stone.
Is it alphabetical?
It's alphabetical, but this book, again, has been spilled on by many liquids. And so the pages are hard to turn. I'm like, I got this out today and I was like, wow, I didn't remember spilling this much stuff on it. I mean, it looks like this has been through like a rainstorm.
Spells is what you were.
He was doing spells.
I
Water
love it.
spells.
You had this in high school. I have to tell you, thinking that you had this in high school, I had girlfriends in high school that went through a light witch phase.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I was in a heavy witch phase. I had Silver Raven Wolf. I had all of her spells. It was such fun.
What is that? Why are we liking, I know we did a witchery, but what is it with teenage girls and witchery?
I don't know what it is, but I just remember like feeling a sense of being in control of my life for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, I'm taking the power back.
But you had still no power.
Yeah. It's
you're
like
just in the woods.
You're being powerful, but it's like you're old enough to like kind of like go to the store and buy a spell book, but you're still young enough to like believe in fairies.
Yes.
Did you ever have that conversation? Because I remember like being with friends like they are real. Actually, they are real 100%, and I do believe in them.
Well, I had a moment when I was younger, like the whole Pinocchio, when you wish upon a star and all that stuff. Is that Pinocchio? When you wish upon
doesn't he wish to be a real boy? Yeah.
And I remember thinking that was a thing that could happen, and I remember wishing something, and then when I looked in my closet because that's where I was hoping it would be wished into. I did not get my clothes, and I remember having a deep feeling of sadness, and I remember like, do not do that again.
Never wish for anything.
Yeah.
The expectations.
They
were sky high.
It's too sky high. So what are we on now?
So we are on, I'm going to be donating this. Oh, this is going to go to Jackson. Jackson, thank you so much for joining our Patreon. This is an amethyst, okay? An amethyst is associated with the third eye, often called the spiritual crystal. Whoa. It increases activity in the right brain. Ooh, creative side, Jackson. Get it, get it. And it helps develop psychic abilities. So, Jackson, enjoy it. Thank you. And this is this one is actually not a magical stone, but this is a pebble that I found when I was out vacationing at an Airbnb that I got. No, actually, this was a no, sorry, not an Airbnb. Excuse me. It was a Groupon getaway. Thank you. Don't get it twisted. And this is a beautiful pebble that I found on the beach when I went out with my girlfriend. So I'm going to dedicate this to Podcast Fan, who has also joined our Patreon, and we do not know their
full name.
We don't know their full name. This is a pseudonym, I'm assuming. This is not their Christian name.
So you get a pebble.
So you get a pebble. But no, I will not denigrate this pebble. This pebble is just a special, and it's so smooth. Feel it. Don't you love this?
It definitely has a nice look. It's a calming, neutral color that would go really well in home decor.
And stones can be this. I don't know what type of stone this is, but I'm sure it's magic as well. So this is good luck for Podcast Fan. Probably virility, third eye, psychic abilities, chakra, etc.
I got something in here that's in your book.
Yeah,
but we're not scientists.
We don't know. Well, it could be. There is a stone in this book that I've always wanted to get. It's called a holy stone. And so it's actually a stone that has had water wear a natural hole in it. So it has a hole inside of it, but it's caused by nature, by water or something. And it's supposed to be really, really special because during a full moon or a new moon or whatever, it's something to do with the moon, when the veil between the worlds is thin, you can use the holy stone, you can look through it, and you can see fairies. So when I remember when I was really into magic, I was like, I've got to get my hands on one of these holy rocks.
I actually want this.
I do too. So if you have one out there, send it in.
I'm going to look for one online. Do you think it's on Amazon?
Probably. Yeah. Amazon probably has live fairies for sale on there.
Yeah.
We got to get Jeff Bezos back to the moon.
Yeah.
Now, thank you again, you guys, for joining our Patreon. It's so appreciated. And please, again, subscribe to our YouTube. We're trying to get our numbers up because we're really close to being able to monetize. And
well, it'd be a great milestone to see that 1K.
It would be, oh my God, what a milestone. And when we do get to 1K, we will do something special.
Yes.
We will contact Joe Rogan. We'll take the first step.
Yes.
I've actually already emailed. I've emailed on multiple times. And I've had no response, but I have a third email, which I'll be reading later.
You know what? Maybe we should go to Ari.
Oh yeah, we might have to go through Ari Shafir. Maybe we can have him on the show here, and then we can confront him and say, "Just take us to Joe
right now."
The fans demand it.
Yes, or I'll be revealing secrets about your life.
Oh, blackmail.
Yes,
isn't that delightful?
Lady Journey.
Lady Journey. Blackmail is so Lady Journey. It's like
that's the only power we have.
It's the women's murder weapon. It's like poison.
Yes,
but it's how we get what we want.
Secrets.
So I've had something really exciting happen.
Yes, this is a win.
This is a big win. As everyone knows, I have I'm auditioning all the time, and I finally booked something. But I'm booking all the time also, so I don't want anyone to think that I'm not doing well.
More than the usual.
I have a high booking ratio. I have a high booking ratio, which doesn't lessen the pain of rejection in any way.
No, it never changes.
But I did have a big win. So I'm going to talk about my journey. And again, I cannot give any specifics because I've signed a lot of NDAs and I will be sued. But I booked an under 5 on a popular drama on a network that you have to pay for.
A streaming network.
A streaming network that starts with a... But so I wanted to tell like my journey of, just working as a working actor.
Also how fast it happens, because you told me about the audition and then that I'm like, what are you doing? And it was 2 days later and you're like, I'm working.
I was on the
I was
set.
like, holy shit. So it is really fast. And then it also let me know when to give up hope after an audition.
Well, I think
2 days.
Like rush casting, I feel like happens more with TV shows, and I have seen it happen before. Usually when you were auditioning for a TV show, you're given like a window where it's like you have to be available within the whole window, and then they already have a date set. Like I just did an audition for something that's not shooting until like January 9th. So it could be January 9th. It could be like a little after, a little before, you know. So usually when you send in for an audition, you would then get a call back. You'd find out like something like they've pinned you or they kind of like you, but they have to see, because when you audition, you're getting seen by the casting director. And then the casting director is kind of filtering people. So they're the one who sends out, they pick all the headshots of the people that look like the part. Then they get all the auditions, and then they pick from probably, you know, however many, like 20 or 100. It depends on what the project is. They'll pick like 5, and then they'll take the 5, and then those people will have callbacks, and then they will take those, and then they'll send it to the production. And then it's not actually the casting director that's picking you. It's a number of people that are involved in the team of the production. Like sometimes it's the writers, sometimes it's the directors. Sometimes it also then has to go to like a network person.
Yeah,
too.
I got to see Joe do a little bit of casting, and it was mind-opening.
It is. It's really mind-opening, and it does make you, even though I talk about like how, you know, it is painful to get rejected, you realize that it actually doesn't have anything to do with you.
I think a lot of rejection, at least on the first part, is just you aren't the look of the role.
Yeah. You're not the right look of the role,
or they're not the vibe.
Or even like you're too tall or you're too short, you know? And it's even more so like that with commercial casting.
Yes. Oh yeah, even more. So that was fascinating. And then it felt like there was a lot of back and forth to see who, but it was faster than I thought. And I don't think there's too much thought that goes into it. It's just the first person that is like, they got it.
It's besides the fact that like I think it's not the person that's like the best actor, because everybody who is even getting past the casting director has a finished performance of the piece.
Yeah.
You know, so if you are like an actor and you're listening and you're like, oh, how do I like break into the acting business? Like you have to just like practice. You have to take classes. And then I only got an agent because when I went to JFL. So, you know.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when I went unrepresented, I was able to connect with my agency through there. So I don't know. I wanted to have an agent for a long time. I would have loved to have one when I first moved to New York, and I was doing like a lot of like really horrific student films. Like I literally did. Yeah. Oh my God. I did a student film once where like I showed up. This is like not even the worst thing that I did. I didn't do this, by the way. I showed up and they're like, change the script. They said, change the script. The main character, no lines. The main character is just going to wipe oil off of your butt with a piece of bread, and then he takes a bite. Like that's my scene. Off my butt's just out, and he just wipes oil off of it with a piece of bread, and then he takes a bite.
You're like, I'm not really acting.
Yeah.
Is this really part of my
asking? I know. I'm like, let me go call my dad and see what he thinks about it. Yeah. So I just remember being like, no, I'm good. You know, It's so hard to break into acting as like somebody coming to New York if you're not
connections.
With no connections. I mean, I had nothing. But I would say if you're wanting to move to New York to be an actor, the best thing you can do for yourself is get your day job and start taking your classes immediately. Because when you take classes, you're automatically involved in a community. And I think that there is a way, if you're consistently taking classes, those people that are there, they're already working actors, and they're tapped into people that are like agents and managers.
Yeah,
and stuff.
They're going to be working. They're going to be your network. And they're also, if they like you and you guys do good work together, they'll recommend you. Because everything that I've ever gotten, a lot of times has just been recommendations.
I got a lot of stuff on recommendation. Yeah. Like the PBS, you know, the kids show that I did during the summer, coming out soon. Actually, it should be out by the time this is out. It's called City Island.
Ooh, fun.
It's fun. It's like a kid's cartoon, and all the cartoons are different, like little objects. Everything in the city is like its own object. So I play a jar of nutmeg. Yes, I'm a mom. But that was something that I had like been recommended for, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like so much of that is just you have to have like a network of people that you're tapped into, because it's like who's going to hold auditions if like everybody you know somebody right there. It's so costly. It's a pain in the ass. And then you also have to deal with people who are totally unprepared, because people are like showing up to auditions like what?
Yeah, that's the thing I learned, because I think I was one of those people, because I didn't really know the process. I thought you got, especially, commercial acting, you just get your copy that day.
Right.
But it's hard. But like I would thought it was okay to tape like let's say TV or film with just reading from the script, and then I realized, or even going into an audition before COVID, that I was like, oh, I'm noticing everyone's prepared and off book.
Yeah, that's the difference between TV and film audition.
Changes it.
And you see, like, when you're doing it, you see why you basically have to come in with the fully prepared presentation, and then you perform it for them, and then they're like, okay, I can plug that in.
Yeah.
Because you're there all day, and there's no time to be like, there's no time. I didn't turn the timer on.
Oh, that's all right.
Whoopsie. Peep behind the curtain. We have no idea how long we've been on here.
An hour.
Yeah. Because then you show up and it's like everything is like moving. It's not like a rehearsal, like a play or something where,
Yeah, they want you to have it automatically. They want to have a feel for it. I saw when I was watching Joe do casting, a lot of the actors dressed up for the part.
Oh,
in their
like,
taped audition.
Yeah.
Meaning like there's a scene in the kitchen. She was wearing an apron and like cooking and mimicking cooking.
Yeah.
So that kind of, like, I know when I've done auditions, although I only got one call back, and it was the very first audition I ever did. And then after that, nothing.
Oh, that's brutal.
But I call it my annual audition, and it's once a year.
Yeah.
That's all I get.
Yeah, I have been auditioning a lot since the pandemic, but then I was doing a ton of auditions, and then when I switched over to SAG, now I'm just only doing SAG stuff. So it did go down a little bit to the point where I was like, oh my gosh, but now it's like
union and pay.
Quantity is out the window. Now it's just like focus on the quality.
Yes.
Now just each audition has to be like dropping what you're doing, creating a fully functioning performance out of it, which if it's only, under 5 lines, then it's not that hard to be like, okay, like let me spend like a day on this,
Yeah.
So that's kind of like my process and like my journey as an actor of like coming to New York, doing a ton of shitty student films. And then you saw that one that I did. You saw that one where
I've seen 2.
The one where it was called Vagina Monologues.
Yeah,
and
my
it was like
friend did that one.
Yeah.
He was the director.
Yes.
Yeah, and I knew him because he was my good friend's friend who moved to New York. They started dating. So it was like
God.
Degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so before we even were friends, you saw me in the Vagina Monologues where it's 2 girls, right? And they're like sitting at a table, and then underwards their vaginas are talking to each other.
Yes.
And it was like CGI.
It was a sketch show he did.
Yeah.
Like an online sketch show.
We basically just wore, this is now what Lady Journey is. I'm just like revealing all the horrific things I've had to do. But it was like, we just wore green screen underwear, and it was just like, I just sat under the table and I got paid $100, and I was like, that was worth it.
I know. Oh, yeah. Where now I'm like, I don't know. I would just be so worried that I would have just pubic flyaways from my underwear.
I don't think that even crossed my mind. Like, I'm sure I did. I'm like, whatever.
Well, I didn't see, because I actually saw that sketch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know you then, but here's another one that I had. So I shot an independent movie, I'm going to say in 13 or 12. It feels so long ago. And I went to Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a studio there, or place, a warehouse that lets us shoot a scene there. But they also did sci-fi movies that they would shoot on budget. All took place in a spaceship, and they created a spaceship.
Yes.
And they would redo the spaceship, move things around, and they would make 20 of these films and sell them to China.
Yes.
Or Asia. Anywhere in Asia. But you would also, back in the day when Hulu was first going, you could find these movies on like the 10th page of free movies.
Yes. Yeah.
And you had done one of them.
I did.
I was like, I know this girl.
I was so excited to do it. Well,
I loved it. I love that you shot a low budget sci-fi.
You know what? I'm actually really glad that I did it. It's totally like a bucket list thing for me.
Yeah.
And when I did it, I think I was like 24. So it was like actually perfect for me to like practice acting, practice being on the camera, practice like being on the set. Made no money, of course. I mean, like how the budget for these was so small. I mean, it's like shoestring budget. But it was hilarious because the film was called Earth Killer. And
we're talking about the set is literally like cardboard with acrylic paint.
Not even. Yeah, it was like a chain link fence. Like that was like the other part.
But with special effects.
And the special effects were bad.
Yeah, but you can make it somewhat of a decent looking cheeseball sci-fi.
Then that's what it looks like. It was totally, and they embraced that too. Like the people that did it were really fun, and they were just like cool people, you know, and just embracing that genre of like low budget sci-fi. It's like totally a thing, and it works for you too. Where it's just like the actors, the woman who was the main actress in that. She was stunning. She played a robot that woke up one day on a spaceship and there was like a war. A war had like broken out. It was like a whole thing. But she was actually like a legit. She was like an actor's equity, like play actor.
Yeah, some of these people they had maybe did like a red shoot. They were hot in the 80s or 90s, and then this is their like next level.
Going to the next level.
Where they can still be hot, but they're not. It's not an A-list movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was totally that vibe. And it was
it's
just
like Sandra St. Clair.
Yeah. Yeah. I was in a Hallmark movie in 93 and that's my credit. Oh, I would love to do more. I mean, you know, now that I'm SAG, I have to be like more particular about the projects that I do, but I love it. And it was so funny too. It was, I think that's like low budget sci-fi, like horror. They embrace like the goofiness too, but it was like literally my character was bitten by a robot. So I'm like acting like, bitten by a robot. And then I turn into a zombie. They push me out of the airlock.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because you just see me like, I'm just like acting in front of a green screen like I'm being sucked out of an airlock. Oh my god, just so much fun.
Do you have it? Do you know where
it's on YouTube? It's on YouTube, and I'll link it to the Patreon for you guys.
I have an independent movie, but I have no idea where it's at.
What was it?
It's called Pop Meets the Void.
Oh, sounds great.
And it played at a film festival here in New York, but I remember doing it and I watched it and I was like, it's weird when you watch something, you're like, I actually see what I could do better. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was fun. I haven't had contact with, it was a couple. He teaches film at the New School.
Oh, that's cool. That's legit.
But it was like, I had to memorize so many lines and it was daunting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not a line memorizer.
Memorizing has been easier and easier for me. I think just because I'm like, my brain is like specialized in that area. So I do have like a process for memorization, but like in the case of my recent booking on a drama show, which will not be named, but I will.
You guys will be very excited.
You'll be excited. I'll do a tell-all when the show comes out.
Yes.
Which will be in, I don't know, a few months, probably like springtime. But so I had memorized the lines that I performed for the audition, but when I was performing it for the audition, it's like I'm very comfortable. I'm in my home. I'm with my Zoom setup. I had my acting coach there, you know, he's like coaching me. And then you go from that to like, then you get the offer the next day. And again, this is like rush casting. So there's no callback or anything.
Yeah, because you had told me you did the audition and then within 2 days, I'm like, hey, where are you? And you're like, I'm at work.
Yeah, I was literally there. I was literally there. And so then like the next night got updated lines, which were different, totally different. So then I had to like memorize. I'm like tired. I'm doing shows, memorizing more different lines when I had already been like focusing on the other ones. And so it's really stressful, you know, to get like those lines and be like, okay, like I have to deliver.
Yes. Well, I remember years ago, right out of high school, with my friends, we went to Daytona Spring Break MTV.
Oh my God, yes.
And I watched Simon Rex, who was one of the top VJs at the time, and I forgot who the other girl was. I think her name was Kari and Carreri or something. And I watched them shoot the show for MTV, and it was just like, okay, coming up next, we're doing this, and he had to do the lines, and they couldn't do it over, and I remember thinking, being like, God, they're so stupid.
Yeah.
And now you're like, no, it's so stressful. You're
Yeah.
put on the part and you have to enunciate everything properly and make sure it's clear. Sometimes
Yeah.
you'll switch words around and you didn't realize it. You
And it's
add a recently to it or
nerve-wracking.
adjust, and they're like, no, you have to say it just like this.
Yeah. And it's so nerve-wracking. Like when I did another show on HBO a few years ago called That Damn Michael Che, which was obviously the Michael Che of SNL, and this was his spin-off.
Yeah, it's
sketch show. And I like got the lines that day. I was like ready. I only really had like one line, but you know, it's like you get to a place where it's like you're so nervous. And if you're an actor, you've always been told like you have to get to the set, you have to be 100% prepared, because this is like literally with these huge budget shows, it's like it's costing thousands of dollars a minute.
Yeah, if you go overtime too, and they're so hardcore union, you can't even go 30 seconds or you get docked pay.
Yeah, it's like the union.
And we're talking about thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars for everybody that's on the set. So it's
Yeah.
like you're supposed to like get up there, nail it immediately. And it's like that insane pressure. I've never felt that pressure in stand-up, because like with stand-up you just know the lines and you've said them 1,000 times, and you know it's not like, and now let's switch out the line here and there. You're like, okay, well,
yeah, you're your own
I don't know
boss.
what you just said.
Yeah.
But when I was on That Damn Michael Che, I got nervous. I got so nervous. I like blanked on my line right before I was like, can I see the script? I'm like, my hand started shaking. But you know, when you're like an actor, you know that, and I'm saying this, you know, in case there are actor people listening, like, you know, like it is a thing where it's like you can't ever stop being nervous if you are. It's not just like, just stop.
I know,
It's
it
like,
doesn't, I hate that as
anybody who
advice.
says that, they
Fuck off.
don't actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like the only thing you can do when you have nerves is to, number one, work through them, or you use it like in your character, you know. And I was playing like an anti-mask Karen.
Yeah.
So me. Very on brand yet again. So I was like using it in the character, and it worked, and it was great, you know. But I was just like, wow, I was expecting to be nervous, but I wasn't expecting to feel totally fine. And then the second that like the camera's on, to just go blank, you know?
Oh, I've had that in a live sketch once, and we were just starting, and I was like, oh my God, my line's about to come up and I don't know it.
Oh, it's so terrifying.
And then it happened, and then all of a sudden it came through at the last minute.
Oh,
But I've had that on stage. Sometimes I've had where I've gotten really nervous and I'm like, oh my God, what is my first joke? But as soon as you get it out, it is muscle memory.
yeah. And nerves can be so paralyzing, but I always tell myself, I know that like I can be nervous and I can still work.
Yes.
You can't like, you know, I love people that are like, just pretend you're excited. It's like, just
don't have
let's
that.
deal with the reality of the situation.
Who does that though?
Yeah.
Who's like,
Just flip it.
just tell yourself that you're not nervous. And you're like, has that ever
Has that ever helped
worked?
anybody in the history of life?
You need to get out of here.
Yeah. Just go back to your cushy desk job, because you don't get it. But yeah, that is my big thing, is like just working through the nerves, or just being like, sorry everybody, I'm a little nervous, because I get like, I used to have this when I would perform stand up, my hand would shake like, and
Same.
you're like, hi.
I can feel it with my leg.
Just a shaky
Yeah.
leg.
Nothing's happening here.
No, nothing to
no
see.
one notices.
Nobody knows.
Yeah.
So it does kind of happen, but then it's like you just have to be like, oh, it is happening and it's okay, and it's actually not that big of a deal. And
Yeah.
I'm a professional, and I work through nerves. I just work through nerves.
Yeah. I also just tell myself too, they're catching this for so many angles that they will get what they need.
They'll get what they need. And then also, like, what I learned too is that when the high stakes are really when you have the audition with the quick turnaround time and you just are trying to put out your best performance possible. Like, in the moment of being on a set like that, like, especially if you have like one or two lines and you don't have like a scene with somebody where you're like fully interacting, like the person that's directing is like a professional director that's worked with a ton of different actors. They know that people get nervous and they will work with you. You know,
Yeah,
they're not
yeah.
going to be like, you can't just like show up and be like, what am I doing? You know, but you can show up and be like, hey, like, let me take like a little one to like get into it.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they will be like, oh yeah, like cool.
Like, especially I feel like after you do your first take, then you're like, everything's fine.
everything's fine. Like you're in the moment and you're there, and nobody is gonna like come after you with an axe.
And I know, but I always remember like hearing Stanley Kubrick with what's her name from The Shining.
Oh, Shelley Duvall, and he was like abusive towards her.
Yeah, you hear, and then I've also heard that with David O. Russell, where you're like, oh my God, I hope I never run into these maniacs.
Yeah, I think I feel like I have gotten treated way worse by directors on like non-union stuff that I've done, where it's just like the non-union shoots I've done, like that one I was telling you about, like that overnight shoot where like the guy is just a jerk and just not even doing that great in his life, so he has to like thrive on the fact that like he's the boss of the music video that from a band that no one knows. You know, it's like those are the people I think that you have to like really watch out for, because they're going to be the ones that are like not good enough. And you're like, okay, well, I'm brushing her hair.
Yeah.
So,
well, I had a shoot one time with another comic, and he got a director or DP, and we had picked up on this DP's like attitude towards us was awful.
Ooh, weird.
But because we were collectively all getting it, it made everyone feel okay. You know what I mean? We're like, well, at least it's us against him. Where I feel like with dealing with, if it's a director and he's only pinpointing you, you're just like, oh my God, I'm being attacked right now.
Yeah. And it's not, you don't want to feel like that when you're also nervous.
Yes. Oh, but yeah. When has that garnered great results?
Yeah. But you know what I just remembered? Remember that you and I did a commercial together? We did a Comedy Central branded commercial together.
Did.
Was it the one for Subway?
It was for Subway. And that was also mind opening. Like, cause I've done, short film or film and stuff with but like budget, and blew my mind that in commercial they make you do way more takes.
Oh, the budget for that one, I remember being like, this has got to be hundreds of thousands of dollars for this.
It was a lot of takes on lines that did not need to have 100 takes.
A lot of takes. A lot of actors. The crew was huge. And then I did think it was so funny for that one because Subway had the prop masters were there, but it was like two women that were like exclusively in charge of like maintenance of the sandwiches. And every sandwich had to be
fluffed.
Like perfectly. Yeah, they had to fluff the sandwiches. I thought that was so funny too, because
wasn't there also a side room with a one-way mirror?
Yeah.
Or was it two? I never know. Because I felt like there were execs on the other side, and they were giving notes to the director.
Yes, there were.
Because I remember being like, this is so weird that we're not allowed to see who these people are on the other side.
Yeah, I think that was weird that they did it in that way. I've never been at a shoot with like people behind a two-way mirror, but I have done stuff where I guess people have been in like other rooms watching, if it's like the person, like for example, it was like a person from Subway who was there, and it's like they aren't really want another there,
Jared.
Like they aren't really there for any other reason than like they are just there from Subway. It's like to be like, I don't like the color of her shirt, and they're like, right away, sir.
It was like that. I don't know. It shows you a lot of this stuff is like unnecessary.
I'm going to post that commercial. I'm going to post it. I'll find it and post it.
It was a lot of comics in it.
It was a lot of comics. And I thought it was so funny because I do remember embarrassing myself because I was like, every year my family would get the giant sub at Christmas Eve. And everyone was like, what? And I was like, oh my God, do I sound poor? Being like we would get the party sub.
Because you guys didn't do the party sub?
You guys didn't have the party sub, and that wasn't your only food you had on Christmas Eve with your family. But I do remember like
that sounds really wonderful. Actually,
it
was love Subway
so fun.
sandwiches.
I mean, it was like a thing we would always do when we would do like Christmas Eve. We would get the party sub, and we would all be like, "Yes, the party sub is here!"
Yeah,
it was like fun. You love a party sub.
Yes, sandwiches. When we all ate bread.
Yeah, it was back in the day.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's kind of my journey as an actor from, I guess starting with very independent stuff, doing a lot of sketch, finally getting agent, manager, and to now booking regularly. Here's to more bookings.
To Lady Journey.
And I do encourage anybody out there, acting is it is like kind of a devastating thing to like fall in love with, because there is no real world application for acting skills. Like if you're like, oh, I want to be an actor, then you decide not to do it after like 10 or 15 years. You're like, well, I guess I have this, it's like it ends up being this like white elephant that you just have to feed and feed and feed.
Yeah.
And then you can't apply it, at least with like comedy, for example, or like writing. There's a lot of different applications for writing.
You could do copywriting.
You could work in like marketing. You could work in ad. You could work in like all, doing articles online. So many different things. Or like stand up, there's like public speaking. I was doing tour guiding for a while. There's a lot of different stuff that's pretty close to that. But anyway, so I want to tell everyone, if you are an actor out there, if you're thinking about doing it, live your dreams, go for your dreams, and like handle the rejection. Be the cactus, you only need water every now and then.
Yeah. I also feel like in the acting world, I've seen results with people that have just figure out how to do characters on screen, like POV on their phone.
Totally.
Like Meg Stalter is a good example of that.
She's brilliant. I think she's so interesting and funny. And she's somebody that was like, the industry wasn't like into her.
Yeah.
She was doing her own work, creating her characters on her phone. And they are really like kind of like nuanced and satirical, and they have like based in reality,
yes,
of like
you've
certain
seen
types
all
of
of these people. Yeah. And I've seen people get stuff from that.
Yeah.
That you're like, because it does feel like when you're just acting and you're just doing auditions, it doesn't really like you're working that much on your craft, or you just feel like, what am I doing? Like, I don't feel like I'm actually doing anything. Just you can create stuff on your own and just do that.
Yeah. And be creative. And you do kind of need to like pull in another discipline like writing, you know, into your acting. Because that's really the reason that I started doing stand-up, was because I was like, I can't just be acting in these like low budget student films where I'm playing like a truck stop sex worker, because that's what like Jimmy thinks is funny for his SVA final.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be doing that. And then that's why I gravitated towards stand-up, because I was like, I do want to be more like in control of what I'm saying.
Yes. I also just always felt like once you're on stage and you get familiar with like who you are on stage, you are performing and acting. Like you're getting relaxed.
Yes.
In a nervous situation.
Yeah.
And I just feel like as the years have gone by, I've actually become a better performer and, learn how to like become a character on stage.
To live in the spotlight.
Yes.
Well, this has been another amazing episode. Please like and subscribe.
Yeah. Join our Patreon, like and subscribe, and tell your friends.
Lady Journey.